Welcome to the Fractional Podcast, where we share real stories of operators raising capital and partnering with everyday investors to bring big ideas to life. I'm your host, Stella, and each week we dive into how dealmakers and communities are using the Fractional platform to build wealth together. Today, we have Matthew Starr, who recently raised capital and oversubscribed it for his super awesome co-living student housing deal. Matt, thank you so much for being on here. You have an incredible story and can't wait for you to share it.
Stella, I appreciate you for having me on. It's an absolute honor and a pleasure. I'm super excited to share with your audience a little bit about my story and how I've been able to collaborate with you and Fractional to be able to get to where I'm at today.
Amazing. Well, Matt, let's get to it. I know, things always weren't rainbows, and you've gotten to where you are, and that's been just so incredible to hear. So if you can just tell the audience, how things started for you, how did you get to, where you are right now? I think it is just so inspirational for everyone to hear.
Yeah, when you go online and you search up real estate, you're like, oh my gosh, giant checks. Oh my gosh, get rich and probably really fast. And so I definitely fell into that trap. I've been a business owner since 2017. In a past industry, I was a personal trainer. I had my own studio. I was an online coach and I had a meal prep service here in LA County. I had done that for almost 7 years. I lost 125 pounds in another life. And so, like, that was my journey. That was like my long-term vision. And then it was about 2021, somewhere in that year, my younger brother, who was 18 years old at the time, got hired as a salesperson for a real estate company. And Stella, within 6 months, this kid was making more money than me. And for me, that was like, okay, clearly I'm doing something wrong here. And I got inundated with all this content online, and I was like, okay, I'm doing this real estate stuff. Unfortunately, because the posture of my heart and my intention was so oriented around making money, I attracted some really gnarly people into my life. Some mentors that led me astray, and then some personal partnerships that weren't in alignment with what this business is about, which is providing value and genuinely leading with service. And so I ended up going into a pretty aggressive downward spiral. I lost 120 grand liquid cash. I went into all the credit card debt you could ever think of. I'm talking like business cards, personal loans, anything to make it work. It was fuel against the fire. I sold my entire crypto portfolio, all my stocks, just to zero. It got to a point where my family actually recognized that not only was I on a negative trajectory financially, but I had allowed me as a person to be a lot nasty, a lot more prideful, and a lot more arrogant in that sense of like, this is going to work for me irrespective. And so I continued to go down that spiral to the extent that I ended up homeless. I lived in my car with my younger brother because he had went onto this journey with me, and we ended up in a really bad spot. In that process, I had started to find my faith. I had started to recenter myself into who I truly have been called to be. And in that, I got into the Sub 2 community. And that is where everything shifted for me. I joined Sub 2 in December of 2022 on monthly payments on a new credit card that I had to open to even pay for the monthly payments that were already being financed. And yet, in that, I instantly recognized that the mindset that was being educated, like the thing we were being taught was it's who, not how. And I had been so focused on trying to do everything right. I failed forward a ton. And so since being in Sub 2, I've had the opportunity to close over 60 creative finance deals. I taught a course for the community on low equity property acquisitions. Um, I've been able to help, last year we helped over 20 students get their first deal, and then I've continued to scale in my direction. Now at this point, we do between 5 and 7 wholesale deals a month. We also run a wraparound mortgage business, which is where we provide homes with financing in place to families who can't qualify for a loan. And then we're scaling in terms of our multifamily syndications. And the property that I ended up working with you on Fractional was a property that actually came from a real estate agent that I had done business with last year. And we developed a working relationship. And to me, it was so full circle to go from like the real estate person who just wanted to make as much money as possible and commoditize people to like now I'm doing business because people recognize that I genuinely care about their clients and about working with them. And so we got that property under contract and we're closing it next Friday.
That is huge.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that. I think, a lot of times people don't get real with just how difficult and how hard things can get. Literally the trenches are not shed on enough. So thank you for, being so vulnerable and sharing all of that. And, something that really resonated with me was when you talked about surrounding yourself with maybe not the best people that, empowered your journey, right? So I'm curious, how has that really shifted your mindset, even how you thought about capital raising, right? In terms of how you went about it, the number of people you brought on, the types of people you wanted to work with. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I love that. So I think that my mindset shifted from being very transactional to relational. And I think that when it comes to capital raising, the highest level capital raisers are individuals who are truly focused on the person, that recognize that if someone is putting up a dollar to that deal, they're not investing in the deal. They're investing in you as a person based on the relationship and the trust that you guys have developed. And so I think that as my journey has gone on, and I'm my second year in Owners Club, I've recognized that the people who operate at the highest level in our industry are the people that don't see dollars and cents. I see people as people and as honestly as an image of God in itself. And in that, I have so much inherent value to you to give. And that's not ever like, oh, can you invest in my deal? But like, hey, look what I'm working on. I'm so excited about this. What are you working on? And in that conversation, we end up pouring into each other. And I think that this deal was a reflection of that. It was a reflection of me just caring about the people I do business with. And I won't lie, doing the Dealmaker presentation was also really fun. I had a really good time presenting it live, and it was an excellent opportunity to end up going live on Fractional. And it doesn't stop there. Like we're closing this deal now, but I'm actually in escrow on 204 units, and that deal requires me to raise $11 million, which is a little bit of a different game, but it all is founded in the same thing. So, irrespective of the scale of where your audience is at, the foundational principles are the same. It's people over profits all day long.
That's amazing. I love that so much. And trust is, I think, the number one, most critical factor when it comes to raising capital and partnering with people is, people trust you, people believe in you, they think you're the right partner that they should have, within their sphere of, actually building wealth and doing a project and, building the dream together. So 100% relate to you around that. And I love that you brought up Dealmaker because that was such an exciting opportunity. Tell us how you felt, when you were presenting live, almost like Shark Tank style about the deal.
It was so Shark Tank style. So I have to start with I spent that entire week in Pace's office. I was closing for one of the challenges that Pace does with new students. And so I was like, salesperson Matt on stage making sales calls all week. And then I get to Friday and it's like, hey, get ready to have Pace, Jamil, and Ingrid sitting there, Shark Tank style ready to critique your deal. It was an amazing experience. It was a very different hat for me to put on, and it was a first. I obviously one on one, I love to talk to people and I love sales. But when it came to pitching a deal in front of like the people who I see as like the epitome of what I can do in this business and how I can help people, it was pretty nerve-wracking, but it was really fun. And I had a blast doing it. I think in the aftermath, recognizing that God willing, I'll have more opportunities to do exactly that. It was an awesome platform.
That's amazing. And I think, you being there, right, being the leader, making the sales calls, literally showing everyone how does this work, that, in my opinion, is almost the best way to find partners, right? Because you just get so much credibility already. Like people see you in
Doing
your day-to-day role in that hat on. They're like, wow, this is how Matt gets deals. This is how he operates. And then it's like a no-brainer. It's like, wow, he's pitching an opportunity where we get to be partners now and, get to be involved as a community. So I just loved how that turned out, even though it wasn't, completely planned, but
it.
that was awesome.
So not planned, and yet, well, I had a heads up, but it wasn't as planned as I'd like to admit. But what's really cool is the parallel that you created, because those sales calls was me doing agent outreach to properties on market. Well, this deal came from an agent that I called for a deal I did on market, and then through that relationship, we were able to do another one. What's even cooler, Stella, that you don't know yet, that me and the agent, we've been talking about how I raised for this deal VP on Fractional, and now he's obsessed with the idea of investing. And I'm doing that big project with him, the 204 unit. And he's like, Matt, a part of my commission is going straight onto Fractional to keep investing. And like that's the power of this business is if we just actually care about the people we do business with, they're going to be the ones to say, how can I get in? And I think that's what you've done is you've created a platform that allows everyday people like me and like so many people that are on this project to get in on deals where otherwise it would only be the Shark Tank folks that can invest in these types of properties.
Absolutely. It takes incredible leaders like yourself with the vision, with the execution, and I think it takes a lot for someone to be willing to offer, many, many seats to the community where other people can actually learn and earn with you, right? It's very different to learn about things, watching videos and actually getting into it, being a part of the day to day, or just, even being, in the same rocket ship with you, right? It's like we get to witness the whole journey and then get to a whole new level together as a team. So that is incredible, and really kudos for you for spearheading that initiative. And I love the full circle moments. I feel like that is why we're in real estate, is there's just so much synergy amongst everyone. And I know for your deal, this is something that's very special that we don't see happen too often, but you had one very large check size investor come in with a bunch of, smaller check size investors too. Tell us how does that happen? Not every day do you see an investor that's like, wow, count me in for hundreds of thousands of dollars on a deal. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I love that. So I think it again is grounded in relationship and then having the right opportunity. I think for that investor specifically, there was a necessity for alignment in terms of who the operator is and how they run their business, how conservative they are with their underwriting. Are they pie in the sky or do they care about the money that's being invested? And then the final thing was the model itself. The property that we're talking about is not just geared towards affordable housing, but it's geared towards a population that is constantly underserved and doesn't have an opportunity to have their own apartment often, to have their own property. And so, with that investor, the larger person, we recognized that we were in alignment. We recognized that affordable housing was a problem in the United States. Check. We recognize that he has a college daughter who's dealing with these problems right now. Check. And then we took multiple Zooms. We had conversations the same way that I would with an investor who put in $5,000. There's a perspective for me that any money that's brought to the table, somebody worked for, and it's their time that they're putting in. It's not money. Money is a expression of the time that they've committed to whatever ventures they have going on. And so me, out of respect, I'm going to make sure that I treat their time as valuable as it is, which is something that is irreplaceable in itself. And so I think in that the heart posture was in alignment and we had the opportunity to open the pool. That investor actually wanted to do the whole deal himself. He was like, that was his initial goal, which is, not a bad problem to have, but I recognized that there was just so much more value for me to partner with Fractional and then launch so many other people's investing careers and collaborate with them. And now I'm gearing up for my next raise on Fractional. And with that, I want to continue to work with the same people because I already know them and I have great relationships with them. So I guess that's my long way of saying it's all about the people still.
Absolutely. And I think everyone's going to be excited to, double down with you, redeploy their capital. That is the magic of, having such an incredible community and continuing to serve, right? As you said. So I am super excited about the next deal. It feels like people are going to be having their full circle moments from literally every angle possible. So that's going to be super exciting. Anything you would do differently about the process in the second deal versus the first?
I would say that my timeline, look, I'm blessed. We raised like 750 grand in like 2 weeks from launching. Amazing. But I think that I lost like half the hairs on my head, and that's why I'm wearing a hat today. So I think that probably a longer time horizon between when the raise is and when the closing is would have probably been a healthy thing to set time for. So advice for folks that are capital raising, make sure that you give yourself twice as much time as you thought you originally needed. The value I think of working with you guys and something that I've raised capital a ton in the past. Generally, like if I need to raise $1 million, I'm raising three, right? And I think with the fractional community, we are very intentional about getting into deals, and so in that. Everybody that put their deposit in is a person who I'm expecting to actually be a partner in the deal. And I think that that in itself separates the platform from any individual capital raising. I would say that for people that are raising capital, make sure that you have systems in place. I'm really grateful to say that although I get to be on an awesome Zoom with Stella, I have an entire team behind me that actualizes that, that makes it even physically possible for me to have the bandwidth to not only develop the relationships, but also to continue to cast the vision. And so, if you're not, keeping up with AI, if you're not keeping up with developing systems and automations to communicate with your investors and to, kind of carrot and the stick, you need both as a capital raiser. Um, get on that. And there's an incredible community of integrators and operators that are looking for the next capital raiser, looking for the next personal brand to collaborate with. And I'm blessed to say that I have those people in my corner to continue to move forward.
Absolutely. It's all about scaling yourself so that you can be plugged into the right moments where it really counts. And some areas it's hard to replace yourself, right? Like people count on you. They see you as, the operator. They want to build relationships with you. They want communications, but there's other behind the scenes where if you know that you have to dedicate your energy on that, it's like, can I scale myself in other ways and really have a team to support me? So I love that, you're already, have those systems in place and you're educating other people to start thinking about that early, which is super awesome. So I am super pumped for your next deal. I'm gonna have to run because I know people are whenever they see your deal, they are just sprinting to get in, and
Let's do it.
there are only so many spots. So next time I hear that the Zoom is coming up, I am definitely running over to the Zoom, making sure that I can get on because good deals don't wait for anyone, and you've been an incredible operator. So we're really excited to support you on the future ones and many more to come.
God willing, I'm really excited to continue down this journey with you guys. I think you guys have created something that amplifies everybody's journeys, and it truly is an innovative solution to a problem that has been in this industry for a long time. So I'm excited to be a part of it, and I'm excited to keep building. It's gonna be great.
Amazing, amazing. Well, thank you so much, Matt, for coming on. I'm sure a lot of people in the audience would love to stay in touch, follow your journey. Where
Yeah.
can people find you?
Yeah, thank you for asking, Stella. You're like the best host ever, by the way. I freaking love you. Best place to communicate with me is via Instagram. My Instagram is at House Huncho, HouseHuncho. So that'll be the best place to follow along the journey. I'm also going to be rolling out a YouTube channel. It's going to be at Path to Own, and then all the coordinating links follow behind that. But I would say add me on Instagram, get in touch with me. I'm pretty active in my DMs and I make sure that I have personal conversations with everybody. And God willing, I get to collaborate with all of you guys, whether it's on the next raise or it's helping you get your next deal. This is what I'm here for.
Amazing. And Matt is obviously on Fractional considering he has his raises there. So definitely find him on the platform too. That's when you're gonna get that first ping when
Yes.
Matt's next deal is going live, and we'll definitely see everyone there on your Zoom.
The reason why I didn't shout myself on Fractional is because I have my full last name there. So you guys are gonna have a really hard time. I was like in the third grade when I figured it out, so I don't get offended. But on Fractional, it's Matthew Starr. It has 15 letters. So hit me up on Instagram, ask me to add you on Fractional, and then I can help you out. Skip that part.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Mr. Starr, you are truly a star. I every time I talk to you, I'm like, Mr. Starr.
I appreciate that. Um,
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time, and thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.
looking forward to it. God bless you guys.